So I want to go over a couple of items as we continue this SaaS conversation. Um, just a couple of things in my mind that I've been wanting to share with you. Those of you that are watching from the Facebook group, feel free to jump in to the actual Zoom room. I would love to interact with you on a one-on-one level. We're going to have a Q&A and things like that, like we normally do, and go through this. Okay, so you guys have been hearing the idea of SaaS. I did a webinar already after the level up day Sean did, to really break it down in more details of how us agency owners really should look at this. And I want to kind of elaborate on that a little further. I want to push this conversation a little further and get into the practical side of like, okay, what do I need to be doing right now as the high level team is building out this massive opportunity, right? So, a couple of things. Some of you may not have watched my initial webinar or around SaaS, or maybe you missed Level Up Day that Sean and Robin and Maroon and all the guys did. And what I want to do is just build on that just a little bit. So, here's the thing. You guys see my screen, right? I am clicking away. Ross said he missed those. Okay, so if you did miss that, I do recommend going back and watching both those webinars. The Level Up Day, which was in October, I believe October 28th, and the replay is in the YouTube channel. And then a few weeks back, I did a webinar regarding the sales and marketing component of what is important about this whole process, right? And the reason why, Ross, that I do recommend you watching it. It is going to really ultimately change the way marketing agencies function. And we're going to be the forefront of how these transitions happen, how these shifts happen. And it's really important that not only yourself, but anybody in the marketing industry stay adaptive. They have to be agile in the industry to stay relevant. And that's kind of the golden nugget for marketing anyway. But this is going to be a drastic jump, is my point. Um, Ross says, yes, I saw the Level Up Day webinar, but not the last one I did. Yeah, so it's in the YouTube channel, and I believe I cannot think of the title. I'll go back and get that for you, Ross. But let's continue this conversation. So, just a quick backstory on SaaS. I was about to say, is it Ross? Just a quick backstory on SaaS. Why is SaaS so important? Why are we beating the drum on this? Right? What is so crazy about this? Here's the thing: we're seeing the industry shift right before our eyes in how marketing is actually serviced. Right? You guys are able to see my slides, right? It's not just me talking without my camera. Okay, let's see. Give me a one if you see my slides. Okay, cool. Thank you, Tom. Okay, so the industry is shifting. So a couple of months ago, here's what happened. Um, I decided to do a really a data test around the high level community and figure out, well, where is everybody when it comes to sales and prospecting? And I know a lot of you have interacted with me in the past around marketplace and outsourcing a lot of the white label agency services, which is great and dandy. But at the end of the day, I want you guys to be able to thrive when it comes to sales and marketing. And that's my goal. How do my every day I come into the office thinking about how do I scale 7,000 agencies today? That's my day every single day, right? And those 7,000 includes all of you in high level and what we're doing to level you up essentially. So the industry is shifting into a productized environment, right? And the reason why I'm saying this is this: most of SMBs, when we say SMBs, they're, in other words, small business owners, right? They are becoming extremely knowledgeable when it comes to marketing. If you remember, those of you that's been doing this for a couple of years, I mean, 6 7 years ago, you can walk into a room of experts or a chamber of commerce or any one of these city meetings and get some clients. Those days are kind of behind us, right? And the reason why is because most business owners know how to do a certain level of sales and marketing themselves, right? Just because of the amount of information that's out there, the amount of how easy it is to get their hands on this. Um, Things have changed in how they look at marketing. Now, what are we going to do about it as marketing agencies? I'll talk about that. So, industry is shifting into a productized environment. Marketing knowledge has elevated among the small business owners drastically. Even the first coaching session that they would ever get in business coaching is going to be around marketing and sales and how they can get more people in the door. And today they have to go online. So there's nothing special about marketing. We've got to be able to differentiate ourselves and figure out our roles within the system, right? Now, here's the ultimate number one reason that attracted our high level family to do something about this, right? Number one reason is the churn rate that agencies face today. That was the most biggest pain point that we decided to do something about. So on standard, right, regardless whether you're good at fulfillment or not, we're seeing most agency owners keep their clients for about 3, maybe 4 months, maybe 5 if you have amazing account management, and maybe even 6 if you have multiple services. If you have 2 services that you're providing for them simultaneously, you might be able to keep them for at least one of them for at least 6 months long. But after that, clients are out of the door. That means most agencies constantly have to keep their pedal on the gas, right? For new business, new hunt, new prospecting, new channels, new advertising, new emails, new everything, right? It's a constant battle to keep your pipeline full with the right quality clients. So when we look at ourselves, right, we're a software company at high level. And when we look at our customer base, which is you guys are agency owners. We both have two different drastically, extreme churn rate. Our churn rate is probably less than 2 or 3%. You guys are at almost 80%, right? But we don't sell high ticket, you guys do, right? And we have stickiness across the board. So I thought about it. I was like, how do we turn all these agencies into software companies? That would probably solve this whole churn problem. How in the world are we going to do that? So if we can do that, we'll be able to basically help them exit out of depending on agency services. There's nothing wrong with agency services, right? But here's my mission. Here's my personal mission. How do I get you guys to turn your core services today into becoming your expansion services tomorrow? And your new core being the software or SaaS subscription, right? If Tom is a business owner and I come to Tom and say, "Hey Tom, really like you, love everything you have going on, and I want to introduce you to my software and what we can do. Here are all the tools and bells and whistles we can do for you. Anytime you have a problem of new leads and you need more leads, you just let me know. We'll run Facebook ads for you for 2 months. And that's it. You can cancel anytime. There's no need for a long-term marketing contract, right? That's called relying on those agency services as your expansion revenue. And your business is not betting on the quality of how what you provide on your agency services or how the results and performance will be like, right? So it changes the business model quite drastically. So rest in peace churn rate. That's my goal for you guys. Okay. Then when we do that and transition into a productized machine for you guys, you can essentially avoid the fulfillment strain. I don't know about you guys, but when you're fulfilling at high volumes, even with like maybe 15, 20 people or 20 clients, it still puts a lot of fulfillment strain on your business because guess what? Every client is a little different than the last guy. He's got slight variation of what he needs and wants from the last guy. Nobody's gonna It's really really hard to do a cookie cutter approach to fulfillment without giving up churn. Sure, you can be a Facebook ad agency and do your $21 offer and do your chiropractic, cookie cutter approach of funnels and campaigns and everything. But guess what? After a while, it's going to die out. They're going to go somewhere else, right? So that's the ultimate second thing that I would say is going to be completely different is the fulfillment strain. Now, with that, that's the backstory of SaaS. So if you didn't watch my SaaS webinar from last time, I recommend you going back and watching it because I expand quite a bit on the why. Today, I want to go a little further and start talking about the what and the how. Okay, so 5 things that I want to review with you guys. I see there's a few of you that are watching in the Facebook group. I recommend you just jumping into the Zoom call, guys. There's a link right above that stream. You'll be able to jump right in. So I welcome you to jump in. Okay, I'm not fielding the Facebook group. I'm gonna go through questions and answers in the Zoom call. Now, 5 things you should have in place for SaaS in 2021. Number one, okay, go industry specific rather than feature specific. I had a guy talk to me, I think it was like 2, 3 days ago. He's like, man, Paulson, I really love a lot of the content that you're putting out there. I really appreciate it, but I really cannot wrap my mind around reviews. I literally just want to provide reviews for $50 or $100, and I don't want to have to do anything else. And for me to do that, I don't see why I have to niche down. And that's a valid point, right? But guess what happens? When you're in that mode of features, you're competing with other feature providers. It's a different ballgame. You're competing in a different landscape of competition. You're going up against some monsters, right? By yourself as a small little boat, and you're going against battleships, right? And the reason why I say that is because guess what? A small business owner can go to 100 other review provider, right? There's nothing special about that. They don't see any difference between your reviews versus somebody else. So I truly do not recommend you guys going in front facing and saying, hey, guess what? I can provide a new feature that you haven't fulfilled. Instead, you want to go in as, hey, I work with XYZ industry and we scale their businesses, or I increase volume, or I can help with sales and marketing, but here's how I do it. You don't ever want to go in and say, hey, I'm your Facebook ads guy. You're boxing yourself into the one little what is it called? I used to call it you're turning into a one trick pony, right? And don't do that with SaaS either, right? Number 2, are you guys following? You guys, are you guys finding this helpful? Am I breaking this down um, easy enough to understand? Let's see. Okay, awesome. Thanks for the feedback, guys. You guys are amazing. Let's see. Number 2, make decisions on the feature combination as the niche expert. So today is the 17th, right? We're about halfway through December. Okay. All the SaaS tech side, the feature side, is going to come out in the beginning of January, which I'm aware of, you guys are aware of, and you understand what's at stake. But meanwhile, you're the industry expert. We're not, right? We can be. I mean, obviously, we have some rush packs and things like that in marketplace that's proven our industry expertise, but that doesn't mean we're actively going after small business owners like you guys are. So, what I recommend is this: draw up a plan for yourself on the combination of features that you're going to include in your SaaS, right? Make your combinations. I personally will make a recommendation of what I think it should be at a universal level, but that doesn't mean that's going to be applicable to all industries. I am personally just giving you a recommendation of bare minimum of 3, 4 things that you should consider. Okay. But I recommend you guys being the industry experts, understanding what that industry needs, figuring out what is their operational pain point that you want to fulfill, and get that done, right? So create yourself your own combination that you think is best for your industry. Number 3, okay, and I'm going to go through these just so you guys know. I'm going to elaborate on all 5. I just want to layer these out first so we can go into a great conversation here. Number 3, create a parent sub account with the actual campaigns. I am saying go ahead and create a sub account, create your combination of messages, and have it ready to go, especially when you go into outbound prospecting and you're able to review that with your customer base, your new client base. Okay. Really start attacking that. So that way, guess what? As soon as a SaaS prospect is going to say yes to you, now you're not running around staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning trying to put something together, right? It's just a disaster waiting to happen. So I recommend you creating essentially a parent sub account. It's almost like your templatized sub account that is not going to be used for anything outside of duplication. Okay. Anytime you got a new client ready to go, you just go duplicate and it's ready to launch. You don't actually use it for any clients. So it's just really for template. It's just for a template, right? Number four, start, and this is what I want to focus on today more than anything else, is number 4 and 5. I want you guys to start creating your own beta launch with your software for your prospects, right? Start creating your own beta launch. For those of you that have created courses in the past, you know how important a beta launch is. For those of you that have ever sold a product, you guys know how important a beta launch is. With SaaS offer, especially as an agency, I recommend the same thing. I recommend you putting together a small group of maybe 10, 15 people that's going to be in your beta, and really having them as industry experts come together and you being the brain behind it. Okay. And I'm going to show you guys how to do this, or some things to think about when you do this. So, number 5 is going to be building your outbound messages, your demo slides, and offers. And, I'm in a great mood today. So, because all of you are engaged with me, guess what we're going to do? I'm going to give you some scripts. I'm going to give you guys some actual scripts that you can use for yourselves and go out there and test against your client base. Okay. That's going to be really, really awesome for you guys. And I'll go ahead and post this slide into the help desk and we'll upload it to the YouTube channel as well. So you guys have it as reference. Okay. Give me a one if you guys are excited about my scripts. Okay, awesome. So let's go back and review these, right? Industry specific rather than feature specific. Make decisions on your feature combination. Create a parent sub account right away. Create your launch plan, your beta launch, your beta software launch, your beta SaaS launch, whatever you want to call it, right? And start building your outbound messaging, your prospecting. And I'm going to give you some insights to number 4 and 5 very quickly here. So, number one, go industry specific rather than feature specific. Okay. And I harped on this quite a bit on the last webinar, so I don't want to beat the horse here, but don't be a tool expert. Okay. Don't ever position yourself to be a tool expert. And I've said this before. Anytime people have got on calls with me and I ask them what they do with their marketing agencies, almost everybody tells me, hey, I do SEO, I do Facebook, I do Google, man, and I'm like, great. But the way you should talk about it is like, hey, I'm a dental expert. I am a real estate expert. I am a automotive dealership expert. I am a med spa expert. Like, that's how your mind has to function, even at a normal level, especially when you're doing prospecting and sales and being in that mode. Okay. Now, here's a second mistake I want you guys to avoid before this happens. Currently, you are a service provider. With SaaS, you're a product provider. Okay, you're not a service provider. I know we say it's software as service. That's because we have subscriptions and all these things, but it's not like your agency services. Okay, so what you want to pay attention to is your fulfillment, right? Don't think of SaaS as a service offer similar to how you do your agency services. This is not like you're selling Facebook ads or Google ads. There shouldn't be too much fulfillment, is what I'm telling you. Okay, there shouldn't be too much customization, is what I'm telling you. There shouldn't be too much freedom that you're giving your client, where you're finding yourself consulting on the SaaS that you provide, building out the services within the SaaS that you provide. The whole idea of SaaS is for you to be able to bring a client in, give them the tools, and it's your ultimate do it yourself model, right? For those of you that's been in the industry, you understand the three big models. It's the do it yourself, done with you, which is consulting, and done for you, which is our standard agency services. SaaS is a do it yourself model. Hey, business owner, I've got a tool. It's going to cost you $300 a month. Here's how you can use it yourself. Don't get number two twisted, guys. Don't find yourself fulfilling on the SaaS. You're going to find yourself doing agency services for $300 a month if you don't have this right. Some of you guys are laughing. I've seen this and they're coming back, and I'm like, dude, why are we on a support call? You shouldn't have been offering service as SaaS. It's the opposite. You're supposed to give them the tool, let them work at it, get out of the way, right? Now, to a certain extent, you want to make sure you're putting them in a place of success. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how to prep your clients to a certain extent, okay? Now, number three, let's see. Damien says the truth, 100%, brother. So, number three, don't overkill with too many capabilities and ruin the experience, right? I call this the Steve Jobs syndrome, right? Most of us fall into this trap, especially in the beginning of when you start a business, okay? Number one mistake most people make right out of the gate is, oh, how do I create the best product possible so my own customers talk about my product? You're not Apple. Neither am I. Okay? We're not Tesla. We're not giving them a grand experience, or nobody else is talking about this because we're so sub niched into being a provider, right? It's not a mainstream sexy thing that we're talking about, right? We're talking about creating efficiency within their own business. They don't even want to deal with it themselves as small business owners, right? That's why I'm saying don't fall for the trap of let me create the best possible product ever. Therefore, that alone is going to drive my business into new sales and prospecting. It will not happen. And some of you, the way you compensate to create the best SaaS is by overkilling the amount of features that you're throwing in there. The business owners won't even look at it, right? They just want to know how to make money today and now. That's it. How do we do this? That's what I want to know, right? So the three mistakes that I see most people make as they go into the SaaS mode is this: don't position yourself as a tool expert. Don't think of SaaS as a service. It's a do-it-yourself model. It's supposed to be a product. It's not a service, it's a product. Okay. And don't overkill with the amount of features and think that if you gave everything to your client in that comes with high level, that you're providing something better for them. In my true ultimate belief, less is more, right? Less is more, right? So that's my feedback. These three are the biggest mistakes that I've seen people make, right? Let's see. Number two. So we talked about, let's see where we are. We were talking about these five. Go industry specific, make decisions on the feature combination, create a parent sub account, start your own beta, and build your outbound messages. And we talked about these number one, which was these three big mistakes. Let's go with number two. I'm gonna be wrong in some industries, but I think I'm about 80% right. Okay. This is my personal recommendation of what I think you should roll out at a bare minimum level, right? Your default options, in my opinion, is going to be the dashboard and the opportunities flow. Okay. The dashboard and opportunities, I don't even look at it as like an additional add on. I make the recommendation that everybody should just have it. All SMBs should just have it. But the three that I think you cannot avoid is going to be conversations, which is your two-way text, right? The reviews management, right? And the web chat. And I'll tell you why I think web chat is important. Okay. So let's go with conversations first. Why is it important that we roll out with conversations? It's important because you're the one designing the message as the marketing agency, not the business owner. There's nothing special about two-way text, guys. It's what the actual messages is what's going to make the difference between you and anybody else, right? You have to humanize those messages and pre-build those messages for them. Pre-build it all out based on the cycle that they have, right? Based on the operation sales cycles that they have, build out those campaigns, right? So conversations is important. That's something I don't think you can avoid that, right? It's two-way text. They're able to do retention marketing however they want. They can easily run a high-level campaign and re-engage with their clients, right? Reviews. Why is reviews important? It gives them a macro level picture of the opinion of the market, right? It gives them the idea that, you know what, from an online perspective, here's where my reputation is going, right? And when I say templated responses, it should have said templatized responses, is let's say a review does come, right? You as the industry expert, Tom, here's what I recommend. You knowing enough about that industry, you can easily put together respond messages and templatize it and give it to your your small business owners and say, hey, when you have a positive response, here's what I want that how you should respond to your clients, right? If you get a bad response, right? This is really important. If one of your clients get a negative review and you as the marketing expert and come in and say, "Hey, here's how you neutralize the situation," and take the conversation offline, they're going to think you are the heroes, right? Which you are because you're going to save that client or at least save their reputation even if they lose the client, right? One way or another, reviews have a say. Web chat. Web chat, I personally think web chat is important because let's say they have a website of some kind, even if it's anywhere else, even if it's not a high level website, right? It doesn't matter. Make sure they have some sort of a influx of flow of leads that are coming into the system. It doesn't matter where it's coming from. They need to have some sort of influx of new leads that are coming into the system. Today's combination of features, I personally think if you install the web chat in the websites, whether they have a good website or bad website or a funnel of some kind, I recommend you just putting it out there because it's just organic engagement. They may not go into it, but at least there's a gateway there. You at least are not closing the door there. I obviously know that it's not going to, generate 200 leads tomorrow. I get that. But they may have organic traffic that you're missing out on, right? So I recommend you at least having something there from a SaaS perspective, something that brings in new leads. Okay. So my personal recommendation is conversations, reviews management, and web chat. The default option, I mean, almost everybody in my SaaS offer will get the dashboard and the opportunities flow. Okay. And this would be around 297, my recommendation to the SMB. Okay, which means this the small business owner. Okay, is that making sense, guys? Is this giving you more clarity and ideas? This is bare minimum, right? This is the minimum viable product that I'm talking about. Now, number three, right? I broke this down into four things that I think you should have as your parent sub account is being built out, which is your pipelines. Start with your pipelines, right? Understand your industry, and based on that industry, start with your pipelines and decide how those leads transition in that business, right? If you know for a fact in the dental industry, the leads are phased into four different phases, you know what those are and you launch with those. So that could be, for example, leads in one section, prospects in the next phase, appointments in the next, or intro call in the next, or a virtual consultation could be the next, or in person meeting or in person free consultation could be the next, right? Or post procedure follow up, whatever it is. You, as the industry expert, needs to know what the sales cycle is. And within the high level platform, when you build out your pipelines, phase these out accordingly based on what you know about that industry. Okay. Number two, create text messages that are humanized. right? And it sounds so silly, but the amount of people I've gotten on calls and interactions where text messages come off like it's a huge email, it's quite a bit, right? So I recommend you taking your text campaigns and humanizing it and really, really replicating a normal text conversation that you would have with a family member or a friend. Okay. And the way I recommend you building these text messages out is going to be based on the phases of that sales cycle, right? The text messages the leads get are going to be different than the prospects versus the appointments versus the consultations, right? They're going to all get different types of text messages. And remember, you only have to do this once. This whole setup that I'm talking about is really a one time thing. Once this is built out, you're good to go and you can focus on sales and marketing, right? Then number three, emails, right? I also recommend you, in addition to the text, also in, creating emails in there as well. I don't think text by itself should function, right? There could be landlines and things like that where that feature alone is not going to stand. So you have to have some sort of email play in there to at least cater to those folks that don't have good numbers, right? So I recommend emails to be included in there. The number four is setting up your triggers, right? Set up all your triggers and activate them however you need based on that sales cycle phasing, right? You knowing that industry. Like if you're working in the automotive car dealerships, right? Their sales cycle is going to be drastically different than the dentist, right? If you're in the real estate space, there the realtor's sales cycle is going to be a lot different than a barbershop, for example, right? So you being the industry experts, you're going to know how they travel in that sales cycle. And based on that, create your parent accounts, create your follow-up sequences based on those phases, set up your triggers based on how that lead is going to travel through that sub account. Is that helpful, guys? Somebody's saying we currently don't have a web chat. Yeah, we do. It's just not a live one. We're still able to capture leads through it. It's just not a live one like a ManyChat just yet for now. But it's still something that can capture leads. Let's see. Let me go to the next point here. Here's what I want to focus on with you guys is number 4 and 5. Okay. Here's number 4, right? Number 4 and 5 is what I have for you guys, and this is really important. Start creating your own beta launch with your prospects. Okay. Here's some KPIs that I think you should go by. Okay. KPIs, key performance indicators, right? You have to, what you measure will improve, right? So here's how I recommend you measuring. When it comes to your KPIs for SaaS soft launch, I recommend you making sure you at least have 200 outbound messages a day. For those of you that took part in the 10 days and 10K workshop, let's do a pop quiz. What was my recommendation on outbound per day for your agency services? Anybody want to put that down in your chat? Per day, what did I recommend, right? Let's see. Who's going to get this right? How many emails? James says 500. Bingo. For your agency, I recommend at least 500 just alone on email going out per day. For SaaS, I recommend at least 200, at least for a soft launch, right? Per day, right? Now, you're not going to be able to do this with your previous clients. You may not have this many leads previously that you can re-interact with, which is okay. I still think combined between previous and new prospects that you're going after, I recommend at least 200 outbound messages, whether it's email, text, and video altogether. From that 200, you should aim for at least 8 responses per day coming into you, whether that's positive or negative. 8 responses are coming back to you. From those 8, because this is a low ticket offer, because this is a productized offer, I personally think it'll be much easier to convert these folks compared to your standard agency services. right? You'll be able to jump in much, a bigger count of intro calls, in my opinion, and you should have at least 5 intro calls per day, and hopefully scheduling in at least 2 demos per day. Okay, this is my KPI that I recommend, and this is what I go by myself, right? If I were to go launch a SaaS offer for my own agency, these are the numbers that I'm going to work with myself. Okay, and that's why I wanted to make that recommendation. James says, can you define intro call? A phone call of some kind about doing business. It doesn't even have to be in context. It doesn't even have to be too filtered. Some of you guys want to set up a big VSL and a 3-page application before you get on an intro call. Stop wasting your time, guys. Stop. Just stop wasting your time. Get really realistic with it. Just get on phone calls. Get on at least 5 phone calls. And if you can get on 5 phone calls without 200 outbound messages, my gut tells me you're going to be able to probably do double 200 outbound messages, right? This is outside of your activities. This is your sales team's activities in general, right? So this is what I'm recommending, at least 2 demos a day. And I'll tell you why. I'm going to show you guys some spreadsheets, some Excel sheets of some finances of that I broke down along with Rob and Alex of what we think most agencies, we really think in 2022, agencies will be able to do 7 figures off of this. That's what our opinion is. We can show you some numbers of why we think it could be very, very realistic, but I want to also share that with you, and I'll share that with you guys that are staying to the end. I'll break down some Excel sheets of what we think this is really where this is really going. Okay. So those are my KPIs, guys. 200 outbound messages a day, 8 responses, 5 intro calls a day, 2 demos should come from it. Number 5. Okay, this is going to get a little juicy, right? You guys are going to really, really, really appreciate this. And you guys understand how I am when it comes to copywriting. You guys understand how very direct and basic and simple I keep things. So I think you guys will appreciate what I have to share here. Okay. Let's say, Mr. Pena, hope you're doing well. Let's say you're talking to some old prospects. Okay. The way you talk to your old prospects when it comes to SaaS is going to be different versus new prospects. Okay. Your old prospects that you might have lost. Okay. Or you haven't engaged in a while, or someone who simply just couldn't afford your marketing services, right? When you're selling Facebook ads or Google ads or anything like that, right? Here's how we're going to do the messages for them. I recommend at the very top, you see that it says text, email, and video. Because there's not a huge amount of volume, I really think you guys can create a 30-second video with this script and shoot out videos to your clients, your prospects. Okay. So step 1, to previous people that you have engaged with. It's going to go like this. Hey, Roger, hope all is well. I'm assuming you're still in the cryo industry, man. I need to run something by you because you have tremendous experience here, and I have a huge business proposition that came to me. Need your help making a few serious decisions. Okay, this is going to be step 1, and this is for context, guys. This is for someone that you have engaged with. If they don't know you and you send this message out, they're going to think you're cuckoo. Okay. This has to go to somebody that you have engaged with. And I don't mean just a lead that came in. There needs to have been some sort of an engagement. They need to recognize you as your name or your business or some kind. It can be just a random lead that you did a intro call and they declined and they don't even know who you are. That's not engagement. They have to have at least done, in my opinion, a healthy intro call or a reasonable demo. Okay, that they have to recognize. So step 1, hey Roger, hope all is well. I'm assuming you're still in the dental industry. I need to run something by you, and because you let me correct this. I've got a little spelling error here, guys. I need to correct something by you because you have tremendous experience here, and I have a huge business proposition that came to me. Need your help making a few serious decisions. right? So you're putting them in a pedestal as if they're the industry expert. You're not the industry expert. You're going to be positioning yourself as the marketing expert that from their eyes, right? But you're going to come off as if we need them, right? Step two, and here's how the response is going to go. Hey man, yeah, I remember you. What is this in regards to? He or she is going to want more information here. They're going to say, "Hey, I want to know a little bit more before I spend my time with you." And I'm going to say something along the lines of, "Yes, Roger, listen, I need your business acumen regarding a private software launch." Okay? Like I said, this is still private among my partners, so keep this between us and I want to bring you into this opportunity. P.S. Happy to buy you a Starbucks latte or cappuccino slash lunch for your time. This does not come off salesy. This comes off as if, hey, I've got something on my table. I need an industry expert that's going to help me make a decision here. Are you guys following where I'm going with this? Is this helpful? You see how this is different copywriting versus when you're selling agency services, right? You're not coming in and saying, "Hey, Brandon, can I send you 15 appointments tomorrow so I build you a multi-million dollar business within 20 days with the money back guarantee?" You're not doing that kind of stuff. Right? This is more like, "Hey, I've got something big on the table that I can't even chew myself. I need an industry expert here." Okay? And this is easy to this treads lightly, right? Even if you get on a demo. So right here what happens is this. Perfect. Sure. So step 2, they're going to say yes or no. It's okay to say no. But if they say yes, the next thing is going to be, "Hey, love to just send you a Zoom link or a phone call. Either I'll call you because I don't want you to have to call them and then reschedule them for a Zoom. I want you to be able to, ideally, I want you to go right into the Zoom because they have already spoken with you before. You don't have to have an intro call here on this particular one because these are previous prospects. They've jumped on a demo before, right? You can possibly just take them right into a Zoom and be like, "Hey, love to just set up a Zoom and I'll send you the links." Let them just jump in, go right into a demo of the software, right? Now, let's see. Brandon says, "Is you in or is you in?" I thought I made a mistake on my grammar, standard ESL classes. So this is what I would send out, guys, for somebody that has previously engaged with you. Okay? Let's go with somebody new, right? This is going to be exciting because I'm going to give you multiple angles. One angle by itself is not going to work. You need to have multiple angles here, and that's the same thing you want to apply to all marketing and sales, right? Number 1, I'm going to attack volume. You see at the very top it says volume and it says text, email, and video. You can test out 3 different mediums in however you want to go about it, okay? So volume. Number 1 is going to be, or step 1 is going to be, "Hey Rebecca, wanted to reach out to you directly." This is, remember, this is new prospects that you have never spoken with, right? Step 1 is going to be, "Hey Rebecca, wanted to reach out to you directly to see if you can take on more volume. I am looking to partner up with somebody in this whatever niche that you're going after," right? So they have no idea who you are, and you're coming in as like a partnership process partnership proposition of some kind. And only thing you're asking them is about the volume. "Hey, can you take on more volume? If so, I can send more volume your way." It's almost like you're a referral partner, right? Some people go even further. Let's say you scraped a list that has the city on it. You can even say in the XYZ city, right? You can even do this. You can even say, "Wanted to reach out to you directly to see if you can take on more volume. I'm looking to partner up with someone with, I'm looking to partner up with someone in the XYZ niche around XYZ city, right? So it's going to come off, hey, Justin, wanted to reach out to you directly to see if we can take on more volume. I'm looking to partner up with somebody in the industry around New York, right? Step two, as soon as they give you a yes or a positive response or send me more info, right? As soon as that happens, your next response is going to be, hey, I want to be extremely respectful to both of our times, because their number one objection right there in that moment is, oh, do I want to waste my time with somebody? And neither do you, right? So I attack the time objection right then and there. I say, want to be extremely careful and respectful to our times. Could we jump on a quick 2-minute phone call to see if we can be a good fit together? Okay, this is the volume angle. Let's go with the different angle. Let's go with reviews, right? Reviews is where you're putting the entire business on a pedestal and making the big assumption that they're a high quality provider. Okay. And this angle works, especially if you're going after high ticket industries, right? And here's what I suggest. Hey, Rebecca, wanted to reach out to you directly because I was reading a few amazing reviews you had on your pages. I've been looking to find a partnership in New York or partnership in XYZ industry. So let's say med spa industry who can provide good quality. Can we chat? Right? So you're making it known that you look them up and you see what other people are saying about them, right? And because of the quality that you're seeing from what other people are saying, you want to partner up with them. Can we chat? Right? And the same thing applies again. Hey, sure, I want to be extremely respectful to both of our times. Could we jump on a quick phone call to see if we can be a good fit? If they say no, move on. Who cares? Next. Move on. At 200 a day, it's okay to listen to some no's. It's okay. You have enough volume to keep on trucking, right? Let's talk about referrals. Let's say Justin or Brandon, you already have a couple of clients on SaaS mode. Let's say you have a couple of clients already and you're getting them results or they're generating their own results. Here's how you could leverage a case study or somebody who's actually already performing well with you. You can say, "Hey Robert, spoke with your client, which could be Michael, whatever, and a random name. Spoke with Michael the other day about your business and the potential it has. Can we connect directly? Wanted to share how I brought him 50K last month with the few minor changes." Right? This one is a bit more direct. This is based on a referral, meaning Tom referred Justin to speak to Brandon. Right? You have the ability to name drop somebody here. And the way you would do that is like this. You want to attack why you want to get on a call right out of the gate aggressively. This is not where you fiddle around for a quick intro call to hope for the best and hear about Sally. This is more about, hey, are we going to do business together today? It's a bit more aggressive. So the three different angles: volume, reviews, and referrals that you can use to drum up your beta software launch, guys. By January, I think by January 30th or even the 20th, like, you guys should have at least 10 people that have said yes to you when it comes to your beta launch, right? If you were to start, let's say, next Monday, right? By the time January comes around, mid January, you would have had at least 10,000 outbound emails go out, or messages, or cold calls, or text messages, whatever it is. Is this helpful, guys? Is this giving you some ideas? Maybe even if you don't take my idea, this is getting your gears thinking a certain way, right? Hopefully that's what I'm achieving here, is at least, even if you're not copying and pasting, this is giving you ideas of the different angles. I don't recommend you copying and pasting. I recommend you taking my framework and building on it based on what your industry the way they interact, right? If you're in the dental industry, because I used to be in it, I can tell you they're hanging out in the Facebook groups and Instagram. But if I were to go after the automotive industry, right, they're not on Facebook or Instagram. They're on their phone. I need to cold call those guys. I need to walk into those guys, right? So you know your industry and where they're hanging out, and that's why I think there's an opportunity for you to build on this in your own specific way, right? Now we talked about offers and things like that. I don't want to harp a lot on that on this call. Go back to the initial webinar that I did, and there's a bit more there on the offers. Or go to the 10K in 10 days workshop we did. We talked about a SaaS offer as well to lead for your agency services. So a few additional notes that I want to just make with you guys. Have a beta group of at least 10 SaaS prospects at $300 a month. Okay. That's my recommendation. 300 is a healthy number, and it should give you at least 70-80% margin, in my opinion. Even if we charged, I don't know, $25 or $50 a location in the future for the SaaS, I still think you guys can sell with at least 7x that, right? So, number two is based. So, here's the intention for your beta launch, right? When I do my beta launch, I'm going to create two superstars out of them. And that's what a lot of people do. Even if you did like a course beta, you want to basically take two, two out of those 10 or 15 and turn them into your superstar students, right? Or your superstar clients. And what they're going to be is essentially these are all industry experts or industry players, right? That you're going to turn them into an agency partner. You're going to say, hey, listen, I've got this software and I want to expand on it. And with your network and with your help, I'm happy to give you some sort of a residual commission on this, right? And you got to get creative of how to do that among your industry and things like that. But even if you had a setup fee and that setup fee directly went to your partner, it's still worth it because you have now there's three people, doing sales and marketing for this offer, not just you yourself. You have two more people with you. Then the third thing I want to mention to you guys as additional notes is update your demo slides. Currently, I don't think you should make any changes to your agency services. When you go sell, so let's say Brandon is out there in the plumbing industry and he goes out there and sells $2,000 Google ads. Let's say that's what he's doing. In moving forward, instead of selling Google ads at $2,000, I recommend you breaking it apart and saying 1,700 for Facebook or Google ads and 300 is for you to have our system, our software. Okay. What happens there? What happens is this: that 1,700 is going to churn at some point, and you're able to keep the 300 for thus creating much better churn rate for yourself. Imagine your agency if you kept every client that you ever had at $300 a pop as they left, right? It's a different ball game. It really is. So update your demo slides with your SaaS offer and your invoicing with your SaaS offer. Say, instead of selling just a $1,500 Facebook ads campaigns all day long, sell it for 1,200 and include a new line item that says $300 for the software. And you can keep our software, Mr. Business Owner. Here's the thing: you've got to self-manage it with our own messaging and templatization that we would create for you. But this gives you a really good idea of what to expect in case services don't work out, right? That was number four. Don't discontinue your agency services, but add it on top. In in addition, initial offer. So here's the thing: when should you sell SaaS? The timing of selling SaaS. And I talked about this on the last webinar. And I just want to review this with you guys. In the beginning of the relationship, you can sell SaaS, right? They're coming in, they're doing a demo for your marketing program, and they can't afford your services. You can bring them in at $300. Hey, listen, you cannot afford our Facebook and Google Ads program just yet, we would love to at least allow you to keep our system so you can do your own initial marketing to get your funds up so you can actually invest into bigger marketing play, right? You can do that in the beginning, right? Number two is with together with your program, like I just said, right? With your normal packages, you can add on SaaS. Then additionally, at the very end, let's say you have a client that's on the exit and you know for sure you're not going to save them or they have legitimate reasons of why they want to leave, you can downsell with SaaS as well. So you can upsell in the beginning, you can sell it together with your agency services, and you can downsell with SaaS at the very end of that relationship. Okay. Now, one of the things for those of you that are a bit more advanced and you have account managers and things like that, one of the things that I recommend early on in the middle of December right now is go ahead and start training your account managers of what your SaaS offers are going to be. More than likely, they already know how to use high level. They already know how to use the CRM and everything else that you're using, but help them understand the package. Help them understand your sales angles. Help them understand your sales packages. So that way, when you're ready to roll out with your beta software launch in January, you already know the account managers are, I don't have to teach my account managers, January 10th for me to onboard 10 clients by the 15th. Don't do that to yourself. And holidays are around the corner, so you want to get on top of this early on right now, right? If you have account managers or project managers, bring them in on the loop, and they should be able to simply just do a one Zoom call and get out of the way. If you cannot service them with one Zoom, you're doing too much, right? If Brandon says, yes, Paulson, I want your SaaS offer, he's going to pay $300, and I'm going to ask Brandon to get on a call with me and my account manager. Within that 1 hour call, I should be able to set up his SaaS rest of the way without any interaction. And that's what I mean by not servicing within your SaaS too much, right? It's more of a hybrid approach right now to get the onboarding going, right? Is this helpful, guys? Now, what is on the horizon starting in January for us at high level, right? In the fairly beginning stages of January, the way the rollout is going to be is initially we're going to have the agency dashboard for you guys. That's going to be much more updated. That's different than a SaaS dashboard, guys. I'm telling you, that's two different things. We'll have the agency dashboard ready to roll. Then we'll have Twilio rebilling, right? That means if you have if you want to charge your clients at a certain margin, right? You'll be able to go into the system and say, hey, I want to keep a 15% margin on Twilio cost, right? You'll be able to do that. And on top of that, we'll have a location management system where your customers will be able to essentially get into a credit system where they prepay for your services, right? And that goes for your services as well as Twilio or any kind of thing that they would use. It's almost like, I don't know if you guys are used to Active Campaign, but Active Campaign has a credit system of like, hey, you buy this many tokens for XYZ number, and it'll be something similar to that. Not exact, but it'll be similar to that. But this is what we're focusing on at high level from a tech perspective. But more importantly, you guys don't have to wait on this. Okay. More importantly, you're able to go out today without anything and start the SaaS conversation in your industries, right? And that's what I'm recommending that you guys do. Now, let's see. These are the 5 things that I think we should really focus on, right? Let's go over some Q and A's. Let's go over some Q and A's. Let's go with Jerry. Go ahead and raise your hands, and I'll go through almost all of you. And let's go with your questions. Jerry, what you got, buddy?
Hey man, how are you?
Good, good, good. How's it going?
Good, good.
My track star, my track star.
Yes, sir. Running star. So, hey, listen. Do we need to upgrade from the 297 to the 497 for this service?
I recommend you do, because you'll be the forefront runners of all the new things that are coming out, right? So,
I
so
guess
I,
my question was, I think that's not the right question. I think the question was, can I deliver a SaaS proposition with what we have with 297?
oh yeah, 100%. You
Okay.
you absolutely can, and that's what I'm saying. You don't have to wait on all these things to come out. Today, without any tech help at all, we're gonna make tech we're going to make it much easier for you guys on SaaS with all the tech stuff that we're doing. We're going to be able to help you manage your subscriptions, your billing, your finances, really like anything and everything around being a software company. But for you to sell this and actually launch and onboard them and get them going, no, you don't have to wait on any of that. Right now, even at the 297, you can go do it. If you're at the $97 plan, you can sell two SaaS to two or
Yeah.
seven
Yeah.
accounts.
No, no, no.
That's literally what I'm saying.
Right. Right. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect.
You don't have to wait.
Okay. That was my question. The last one, it's just, maybe it's a tough topic, but it's really fast. I am building an email campaign with a new email builder that it's on beta. Is there any risks on building a full campaign on the beta and then that I lose information that when I use it into my own app?
Is there a beta within high level, or you mean a
Yeah,
third?
so beta.highlevel.com.
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, no, no. You wouldn't have to risk anything there.
Okay, got it. So I can move
Yeah,
forward with
yeah.
building
But
that.
it's meant to be for beta.
Got it.
It's meant to be for beta. So if they change something, you will lose it. But if it stays there, it'll stay there, right? So there's no guessing that something is going to stay there. It's meant to be for beta. In my opinion, I recommend you mapping it out yourself and making sure you have your IP, your intellectual property of whatever it is that you're developing for the industry. I personally would like to have a backup plan. So, but typically, in ideal sense, no, you won't lose anything.
You got it. All right, that's it, Paulson. Thanks so much.
Yeah, awesome, man. Hopefully the 10 days and 10K workshop was really
Oh,
awesome for you.
definitely it was. I have a client right now on a 1 week trial, and I'm ready to put in front of them
Nice.
a SaaS option. So that's
Yeah.
why I wanted to jump here. So
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Let's go with Mr. Goodrich. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. Thanks, Paulson, very much for all this
Hey.
information. So I wanted to ask you two questions. One is what high level is rolling out in the SaaS world going to be complementing or replacing what is happening with the GHL tools for SaaS that Nathan Shearer is doing? That's the first question. And the second one is, if you had the opportunity to start fresh with an industry, what sort of industry or industries would you be eyeing as being the most right for a SaaS offering?
Good question. I love your second question. The first question, I personally don't know who that is. I mean, there's so many people that do all kinds of cool stuff, but if there's something specific, I can answer, but I don't know. I haven't seen it myself.
Okay, yeah, Chase did an interview with him and it's posted on the high
Okay.
level information. So it's
Okay.
essentially an add-on to high level to allow us to provide us an ecosystem
Got
appropriate
it.
for class.
Yeah, you may have to ask him and figure out what it is that he's going to be doing next. I mean, I don't know. But most of the time, people, it's funny, whenever we roll something out, there's usually like this little panic mode of like, oh man, what's going to happen to my business and blah blah blah. But the smart guys, they pivot and they adapt into what it is being built up, because we don't build anything out just to build it out. We're not building it for fun. We're building based on the needs of where we see the industry go, right? And making sure, how do we equip our agencies throughout. So more than likely, it's going to be a compliment at the end of the day. I don't see it as anything else. Second question is a very, very critical question. And myself and Robin were talking about this. I personally think with SaaS, it's going to be easier to go into the unsaturated industries, right? And that's different than what we talked about in the 10K and 10 days workshop, which is with agency services. It's better to go into the saturated industries that's been proven, right? So with the SaaS offer, I personally think, excuse me, that you can go into a unsaturated space and capture a small little pocket. I really think you can do that. And I've seen this actually recently. I was talking to a few agency owners, and interior design this year has blown up as a niche left and right for industries, right? And That's, who knew? It's not even like nobody's even thinking about it, but it used to be a big famous industry that a lot of branding agencies loved, but they've seen a increase in lead generation companies coming into them, right? So it's interesting. But there's so many, but I think going into an unsaturated industry is going to be a little easier versus standard agency services. The best thing to do is find a happy medium where you can still upsell agency services and solve that problem. And here's the thing. Today, your core services are agency services, right? Your core things that you offer to the industry is your agency services. We're saying in 2021 or 22, we would love to help you guys transition that into your expansion service lines and let the SaaS be the core of what you really do. We at high level, we're saying be like high level. Be like high level. We don't have churn, guys, and we don't have a big ticket item. Here's how we're going to help you guys become high level or a software company. And that's why we're rolling out SaaS mode, because we're seeing these industries, just fold left and right just because they could only do one or two things in an industry. Like, you could only do Facebook and Google ads. What else can you really do outside of standard SEO and websites? If a client has all of those things, you're out. Like, there's no more options, right? And we're getting to a point all throughout most industries where most SMBs know enough about Facebook advertising and Google advertising. They know that websites has to be SEO, has to be this and that. And the product knowledge, the industry knowledge is rising so high, so fast, that's going to make agency owners become irrelevant if they don't make this adjustment early. And that's why we're saying get in front of it now, right? So your second question is very valid. I think the quicker success and the immediate front in the next 2 quarters is going into an unsaturated industry. Moving forward, that's going to get saturated too. But right now, you guys have you guys are on the forefront of this movement, and you're able to be first in the market, essentially, right?
Right, right.
Right.
So
So that advantage is still there if you double down on that.
got it. So that raises a couple questions. There are a couple factors around this. One is the saturation you talk about. So first of
Mhm.
all, how do we best identify saturated versus unsaturated markets? And then second of all, there are other things like what are the offerings that we have and how attractive are they to various industries? So if we take a look even at the core of the conversations, the reviews, and the web chat, what sorts of industries really benefit from those sorts of offerings the most?
Yeah. I think most industries benefit if they can understand the value of marketing. If they don't know marketing and sales and they don't value it, then it's hard. It's not something I would recommend. It's worse to go into a unsaturated industry that you have to educate to turn them into an active buyer. Don't go that far deep into the unsaturation, right? You have to stay in the realm of like, okay, I still get marketing and sales and I value that. If they don't do any activities around marketing and sales, there's a reason, and some don't, right? But yeah, that's probably my feedback. Now, how do you identify a saturated industry or not? Marketing, it's such a fast-paced industry. I don't think you're going to find data points that says, yes, this is what's happening right now, move or stay. You're not going to find that kind of a data because the agility of marketing industry is so rapid, right? So it's really hard. Like right now, we are at the mercy of looking at data from 3 years ago, and it's completely outdated. I don't even like even IBIS World is outdated, right? It's like, yeah, that's stuff from 5 years ago. I don't, it's irrelevant today, right? So that's the downside to marketing as an industry. The data gets outdated quick, and you gotta have really relevant sources that gives you um, good information. But as a small agency, let's say if you're under 100 clients, I consider you to be a small agency, right? That type of a pocket, we have the ability to go in as the managed service provider, right, of marketing. In the IT world, managed service providers was very commonly used, and it still is. Marketing world, that has never happened before, and we're at the phase of the customer base and in the industry elevating their marketing knowledge, and there now needs to be a marketing service provider, which we at high level think could be the agencies. We don't see it any other way. An agency can come in and be the MSP all the way through, and we can be the operating system. And so far, the only operating system on planet Earth around marketing, right? So everybody else is like the standard CRM. You're not going to be able to white label everything and create your own combinations. And we can play Switzerland all day long with you guys, right? We can get out of the way, and that's where you guys can come in and have drastically high margins and say, hey, I can sell a $300 marketing package as a SaaS offer, and my only cost is going to be probably less than $50, right? So it's an interesting time to say the least. But does that help?
Yeah, it leaves the doors pretty wide open. Because I do have the opportunity really to choose a niche right now. And so given the availability of SaaS, I wanted to put some thought to it and make as good a choice as possible. Obviously, there's nothing that's perfect, but to position myself for growth in this area. So
Yeah.
whatever thoughts you can share around that as far as the sorts of niches would be appreciated.
Yeah, only thing I would recommend is making sure the size of that sub niche is big enough, right? Don't go into something, even if they are educated, even if that industry is good as far as their quality of businesses, but if they're too small, you're it's not easy to scale, right? So don't go too far. Like if I wouldn't go into an industry with less than 500 people all US, right? It's too small. Even if I got all of them, I'm done growing. Like I can't grow anymore, right? So I would say right now in this initial phase, look at the size of that industry, look at the saturation. If it's not too bad, jump. Just go at it because we're first to market. We're all first to market. We have the ability to just nitpick right now and just take the low hanging fruits.
Great. Thank you very much for your comments,
Yeah,
Paulson.
absolutely. Hopefully it's helpful.
You bet.
And Brandon, the automator. I like that. How's it going, man?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. Let's go over your question.
So, I had a quick question, couple of questions. I know you had mentioned in the beta charging $297 a month for the beta. Is that like for all, including all sub users, or is that like, what if you have a client that has like a sales team? Do you structure it differently if there's a sales team? And then,
Yeah, I'm recommending 297 to be the base of everything. Don't go below that on anything. I
okay,
think there's enough value there. Now, let's say you're taking on a 5-man sales team in 3 different time zones. You need to start selling licenses because that's the way software would sell it. You're not selling locations. You need to sell licenses per user, even if they're on one
yeah,
location. Hey, you know what? Per user is $20
okay,
extra, right? And that's the way you look at it. And that's the way you expand, right? You can, like agency services, you can come in and say, oh, you got 3 locations. It's 1,500 for the first one, 500 for the next 3 locations each, right? Like
right,
with SaaS, it's similar, but it's going to be based on users, not locations,
okay.
right?
So
If you
just the,
do
yeah,
if you do locations, then it's like a separate SaaS client. It's
hmm,
like its own client, right? So that's the difference.
right. Okay, so that makes sense.
Right.
So in general, the have your core cost to get the system, and then incremental costs as they add
Yeah.
users to it.
Yeah, let me share some Excel sheets with you guys. Me and Robin, Alex, for those of you that know him. Me and him, we run the high level agency together. And I was talking to him earlier today. I was like, "Hey, man, can we break down some numbers of how we can possibly turn our agencies into seven-figure agencies by 2022, right?" And I want to share this with you guys. Hey, Francis, I saw your question. We'll get to you in just a second. Let's see. Let me break this down because it's relevant to what Brandon said, right? So let's say, Brandon, you see my screen, right?
Mhm.
Sorry, I got like a ton of tabs open. But let's say we map this out, right? So let me put this into, okay, cool. So let's say, Brandon, you're selling your product, your SaaS, for 297. Is this big enough? Should I make it bigger? Or this is good?
That's good.
Okay, cool. So monthly recurring charge, right? Let's say you're at 297. That's what you normally charge. And let's say you decide for some odd reason you're going to have a setup fee. You're going to have a $200 setup fee. And based on those two numbers, right? I thought about it. I was like, you know what? What happens if somebody like Brandon has a monthly goal of at least 25 new customers for their SaaS offer, right? 25. Here's what will happen in January 2021, right? You have 25 customers. $5,000 is from the 200 that you sold on setup fee, right? This 200 pays for your account manager every month to manage all onboarding, all maintenance, all support on top of the support that we're going to provide just from your agency, right? And that's why I want to justify a setup fee. If I'm doing this myself, this is how I would run it, right? Because this cost right here, this setup fee will accommodate an account manager for me on this formula, right? So 25, let's say, Brandon, you got 25 new customers. February, 50 new customers. This is what your revenue line would look like. 5,000 is from the setup fee. 1242 is coming from 25 times 297 plus the 5K, right? So this is your recurring fee that you're getting. This is your setup. Together, you're getting about 12.4, right? This is just from 25 new clients, right? At the end of the year, at 300, this is where you are on just recurring. This is where you are on a monthly basis from just 300 clients.
And that's excluding peripheral services that you might be selling.
We're not talking about any other services,
Interesting.
right? We're not even talking about any services. And I'll actually bring that into this formula, right? This right here. So the key is not the services or this number. The key is the stickiness of this number, right? If you did the same exact thing, let's say you sold Facebook ads for $297. Do you think that'll stay there?
Hmm.
No, it won't stay there because we know for a fact, looking at our own internal data, looking at how many times you guys deactivate a sub account and how many times you guys lose a client, we know for a fact you guys have 60 to 70% churn minimum. Therefore, guess what happens? Most agencies stay around here for years, Brandon, years. And the only way they're going to be able to climb out of this is if they outpace themselves on sales and prospecting and marketing by doing ads, by doing outbound, like me and Joel talked about on the 10K 10-day workshop. We're like, dude, you guys got to be at 1,000 outbound messages with live ads, with closers. I mean, it's a bigger system just to keep up, right? Just to keep up, right? So with you just functioning on your own, selling 5 deals, 5 new deals a week, right? In 4 weeks, you'll be at 25. End of the year, 300 recurring, coming in at 89K coming into your pocket. We don't know if this is going to be exact. I'm not saying this is what you're going to make. I'm saying this is a fairly reasonable projection at a bare minimum attack on sales, which is 25 new deals a month, right? Now, let's say that puts you at total revenue for the year, right? Total revenue for the year is going to put you at 639, right? That's just 2021. End of December 2021, that's what it looks like. What does January 22 look like? Let's say you stop. Let's say, you know what? I'm done. I'm going to turn into a lifestyle affiliate of some kind and be out on Barbados, and I'm done with all this prospecting and sales. Let's say you do nothing. You stay at 89K. By the end of the year, with no additional, no anything, you'll be at 1.6 just because you eliminated the first 10 months of growing. You're already grown and matured. This is not going down. You see the power of us turning you guys all into a software company, right? And we're saying your core services today should be the expansion services of tomorrow. Your SaaS subscription should be the new core services, is what we're saying. Let's say, Brandon, based on your point, you roll in, month 3 or month 4, your client comes, tells you, hey, I'm glad we're on a 297 plan. This is great. We can do retention marketing, but we're kind of out of leads. Oh, great, no problem. I'm happy to just run Facebook ads for you for just 1 month. Do you care if you lose that Facebook ad anymore because you have a core business built? You don't, right? You're fresh. You can sleep at night. You can sleep at night. You don't have to explain to your wife that we're out of pocket all of a sudden, right? Like that, those conversations are gone, right? That pressure of being the agency owner of today is gone. The new hunt problem is gone, right? Your whole lifestyle will change just because you don't have to sell them Facebook ads. If you do sell them, guess what happens? So we thought about it. You have 300, right? Let's say you sell 10% of your core clientele Facebook ads or Google ads or SEO or website or something for $2,000. Okay. And we're not even talking about 30 new every single month. We're saying 30 total each month. I'm not saying 60 the next month. I'm not saying 90 the next month. I'm saying 30 total ever in that month. That puts you at 60K new just from expansion revenue from your core subscription on your SaaS offer, right? This puts you at 60K. Now that will take you to 720,000 just from expansion revenue with a 1 month service, Brandon. You don't have to keep those clients. You don't have to lock them into any long-term contracts. You can simply just say, hey, I'm going to come in and just run Facebook ads, Google ads for 1 month, right? And that'll take you to 720, which essentially will put you, Brandon, end of 2022 at 1.8 with one offer expanded into your SaaS offer with no additional SaaS revenue in 2022. This is just you staying stuck at 89, right? This is just you staying stuck at 89, right? You guys understand when you break this down, this is the SaaS opportunity that we're talking about. And I know none of us have broken this down and these are all private documents, but since we're on a Facebook Live so publicly, I figured I'll publicly share. Right? But this is really what we're trying to get your finances to look like by 2022. Can we turn 10,000 agencies into a 1.8 machine by 2022? Right? This is some serious numbers. This is not something you take lightly. This whole SaaS thing is not a feature play. It's not like we're just coming in and saying, "Oh, hey, we have this blah 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 pro thing. Sign up for $497." No, that's just one side of it. The other side of it is you're able to take a product that's going to cost you maybe $25 a location, maybe $50 a location. I don't know what the numbers look like, but you should be able to go out there in the market and sell this for 300 minimum. I personally think you can sell it for 500. I personally think you can probably even sell with a bigger setup. And imagine if you already have an account manager that can just manage all onboarding, it's a game changer. right? It's a total game changer. But that's my answer, Brandon, to your question. When
It's
do
a very
you
long, elaborate
but this
answer. I
is
appreciate it.
but you understand why.
Yeah.
You get it. You just
Yeah.
reminded me to share this point that I wanted to share. But this is how, imagine if you had multiple services here, right? This is where I think, selfishly, this is where I think marketplace has a play, right? Our marketplace, anybody else's marketplace, any white labeler out there, we can essentially come in and say, hey, you don't have to house a staff anymore to run Facebook ads. You don't have to house a bunch of Google AdWords guys and designers anymore. If you have an expansion revenue thing or issue, just roll in websites right into marketplace. We'll just take care of it. It comes right into your account. Be all done with it, right? You don't have to, because you're not building your business around the services anymore. You're like I said, your core services of today are gonna be the expansion services of tomorrow if you play the cards right. And you'll have almost no churn, and you'll be able to keep almost every client that comes your way, right? Which sounds crazy, but this is the problem that we're trying to tackle today, by educating you guys of what it is. Any follow-up, Brandon? And I know Francis is next,
I know
but
there's some
follow up.
folks waiting for questions. I didn't expect your answer to be so elaborate. I apologize, guys,
No, no,
but
no. But
one
that
last
was it. I'm sure that was informative for everybody.
question I had. Um,
Awesome.
you mentioned that there's a credit system coming to Go High Level. Um, I would like to implement some pay per lead type services. So we're like, we bill the client $300 and then we bill against that $300 every lead that we generate for them. Is that going to be a practical aspect of this?
I don't think in the early phase it would be. Eventually, I think we'll get to a point where you're able to do that with multiple services. But in the early front, it's going to be just focused on essentially Twilio rebuilding, right? Or rebuilding, right? It's just going to be that for now.
That's all I have.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for your questions, man. Francis, how's it going, buddy?
It's going well, Paulson. Thanks for the education, and
Of
thanks for all the
course.
into to this. I had a question about our niche. So we're working with plumbing and heating businesses in the UK. Now, around 80% of our market are not doing any type of advertising. They don't have systems, and they're not used to even paying $100 for even a job management platform. They're still a bit stuck in the Stone Age. They're penny pinching, and they're struggling or just getting by. Okay. Then you have on the other spectrum, you have like quote unquote successful businesses, 500K plus, £1 million plus businesses. Now they have teams, vans, sales capacities, and they already have systems in place, right? And we need to find a middle ground, right, where we can justify that $300 price tag. And one of the objections I get frequently from when I speak to the successful business owners is we're already using job management software. They're already using Zapier and different automations, and they're either using HubSpot or ActiveCampaign or things like that. And actually moving to us is costly, but also one of the objections we get is they don't want to introduce yet another software to their stack, right? And actually, these type of clients, the clients that would pay $300 for this type of software, they're very savvy when it comes to systems and technology. And they know that they can just put a Facebook chat widget on their website for free, and all of a sudden they've got Facebook chat. So, when I talk to them about, oh, we can put a chat widget on your website, they're like, well, I can already do that myself in about 5 minutes. And justifying sort of just web chat and conversations and review management when already these type of clients, they're managing the reviews and they've got good reviews, sort of made me want to add more into that first tier bundle. And just like pipelines and online booking, and just open up the features that High Level has, because just those three features, to me, it's like I couldn't match what they were already doing in their business. So I
Yeah.
just wanted to get your view on, like, how do I guess we need to find the right type of customer to sell those services to, but increasingly, it's not a straightforward sell. And so I was just wondering to get your perspective on, that go-to-market strategy.
Yeah. And this, what you brought up, is actually fairly a common question that I'm getting when it comes to this SaaS thing, right? So if you go into the market, Francis, and let's say plumbing, right? Or any other industry. And there is already plenty of software companies in all these industries that are solving problems. That could be reviews, that could be text messages, that could be funnels, that could be, I don't know, whatever widget, right? And whatever feature thing that they're trying to solve, emails, whatever, right? If you come in with their angle, you're going to lose because one, you cannot take on the industry competing fire with fire. You will lose because there are mega mammoth businesses, software businesses out there that's going to wipe you out in an industry. We're saying come in as the marketing expert. Don't come in as the technology person. Come in as the marketing expert, and what you're going to provide for them is a do it yourself formula, right? And in that formula, the end result is what you're selling, not how you're going to get them there, right? You cannot put together a feature combo that's not going to get them the end result. So what do plumbers want? They want new jobs. They want new service orders. And that's what you have to sell. Hey, based on this, you have, let's say, 1,000 people in your list. Okay, cool. I want to, bring back 20 of those people, therefore selling you 20 new service jobs for $300 a month. So it's really your marketing messaging and the angle of how you present this whole thing that's going to matter quite a bit. If you look at, for example, there's a, what is it called, Service Titan or something like that. There's a
Yeah.
big software company that does these things, and in the home services industry, they're a big player, right? And you, as an agency, we're not saying go take them on. We're saying sell yourself as an MSP, a managed service provider. They should be able to, they should feel like, oh, I don't need to hire a $2,000 Facebook ad agency anymore. I can get my marketing done for 300 now because I've got Brandon on my side. I've got Francis on my side. I've got Tom on my side. They know how to set up a system, and it doesn't even cost me any ad spend. All I need to do is upload my list, keep track of my list, and I'm able to just ongoing at a bare minimum be able to at least do $300 worth of marketing.
Mhm.
That's what we're saying you should sell instead of going after it, and trying to take on the entire software industry. I mean, look at dental, right? There's like 6 softwares that I can think of right out of the gate that are they're just known softwares for reviews, text messages, call tracking. I mean, I wouldn't go fight them. It's not worth the battle because they've got 10, 15 million in their pocket on ad spend against me. I wouldn't go fight that battle. I rather come in and say, hey, you're spending $2,000 on marketing. Oh, cool. Here's how you can do some of this by yourself.
Mhm.
Here's how you can generate some patients for $300 a month.
Mhm.
That's got to be the angle. The other angle, you're asking for trouble. It's a never-ending battle. It won't stop. I promise you, because there's new softwares in every industry every day. So it's like it's a long cycle of battle that won't stop, in my opinion. So you have to position yourself as a marketing expert, as an industry expert, and sell them their end result, whether it's patient service jobs, new closes if you're in real estate, or whatever it is that what their end result is looking for.
The- if we focus on the end result, though, I think that that's going to be very tied into the lead generation that we're able to
Yep.
fuel. And so that leads on to my second question, which was about, leading with SaaS or leading with marketing. And in this scenario, if we're talking about delivering a result for businesses, we need to lead with marketing services, because like the SaaS on its own is not going to generate them loads of leads and sales and opportunities. It's only when you can fuel that fire with
Ideally, yeah,
advertising.
ideally you lead with both. Ideally, you roll in with agency services and your SaaS offers combined together.
Right.
But here's the thing, most Francis, most of you don't close your prospects.
Mhm.
You don't close deals, right? Like not you specifically, but
True. That's very true.
generally, right? Most of us, generally about 70-80% of us, we leave the money on the table because we don't have a downsell. We don't have a upsell. We don't have a
Right.
gateway. We're so rigid at $2,000 and
Yeah.
nothing else, right? That's what we're saying. There's the
Yes.
opportunity to bring them
Yeah.
into your ecosystem. Ideally, the best scenario, Francis, is if you're normally selling your services for $2,000 a month, ideally I would recommend selling it for 1,700. The additional 300 goes to SaaS. So that way,
Got it.
in
Yeah.
case if everything goes south, you're still able to keep the SaaS with them, right? If they come in
Okay.
and say, "Hey, you know what? I cannot afford your services," no problem. You saw our system. We'll at least be able to let you lease our system for $300 a month, right?
Hmm. And yeah, and for those clients that they're like, oh no, $2,000 too expensive, but I really like your software, etc. Let's do this. Put me on a $300 plan. What type of how open, I guess my dilemma is how much access do I provide for that $300? Because truthfully, what client or like what is excited my niche about the capability of high level, it goes way beyond just reviews,
Yeah,
opportunity.
you're the industry expert. You're the industry expert. You may know more than me on the combination that makes sense for your industry. This is why we
Right.
think this conversation is exactly why we think marketing agencies are the right providers for this, right? You
Mhm.
know your industry more than anybody else, and therefore you can make the right feature combination. Maybe, Francis, you have to roll out five, six, or seven combinations. I don't know, right?
Right.
I'm just saying those three. It's got to be the minimum bare minimum that you got to lead with. There's nothing you can't go below that. Is all I'm saying.
Because pricing it has been like a real sort of challenge. I've been thinking about this a lot, since it was released, and just trying to come up with the right pricing that is a balance between what smaller businesses are used to investing or find it as an acceptable investment into, say, technology, because they're already paying $100 for a job management platform, or they've got something else, and this is just an additional tool. Yet we all know the power of high level and what it can do when it's used properly. Yet it's only used properly when you have a marketing agency or an expert
Well, that's
who
what I'm
can.
saying. Pre-build the operating system at your dispense and set it up for them properly. Because if you ask them to, here's the thing, Francis, if you go in and ask them to build it out the way you built it out, they're gonna lose.
Mhm.
It's too techy. It's too much.
Yeah.
I can't even look at this thing unless I need to look at this thing myself, right? And I've told you guys this. I'm not a techie, right? So most of these small business owners need a provider like yourself to come in and pre-build it to that 40% that gets them going, right? And that's why it's important for marketing agencies to look at the SaaS offer. You know your industry and what they do in their sales cycles and what they're looking for, their messaging, you know, like they're gonna spend 300. We're not saying lead with SaaS at $2,000 a month. We're not saying that, right? We're not saying go sell SaaS like you would with your agency services. We're simply saying you have a better, in the previous olden days, what most agency owners that were a bit more advanced, what they would do is bring in the education play. right? It's like, oh, you're a plumber? Great. I'm a plumbing agency. And because I'm a plumbing agency, I have a plumbing accelerator, blah, 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 on another university system of some kind. And I'm going to sell you my private Facebook group and my plumbing course, which they're already doing, right? By then, they're already investing into marketing and they're already doing. But a lot of people think that you can come in and just sell them on education for 2,000 or $5,000 or consulting. This was the only way in the, when I say olden days, about 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, this was the only way to create stickiness, right? There was no other way. It was like either sell them with consulting and you lose time, or sell them a product, which is education, which is a one-off product.
Mhm.
There was no subscription option. Now there's high level and it's an operating system that you can, now we're going to make it easy for you guys to have your own subscription with all the tech stuff that we're rolling out in January, right?
Yeah.
So once that rolls out, it's going to be a game changer for certain people that understand this and they pivot and adjust enough, right? Um, and that's why we're having these conversations. Hopefully, Francis, is there a follow up to that? Let me make sure I answer everything.
No, I think that's good. I guess my personal struggle has just been I love the SaaS. I want to go all in on that, by the way. I think it's great, and I'm trying to I'm trying to find the right way to position it in my market that actually doesn't bog me down in supporting businesses that think it's just self-serve and they can go in like MailChimp and do stuff, and then they get frustrated with it because they see it's more complex than they thought, and they go, it's just overwhelming, end up not using it and
Yeah.
go, no, not
Y-
worth that
Yeah,
$300.
we're saying if you, let's say you're um I don't want to say literacy, but like I don't know the right word for it. If your clients are not advanced enough, right? Then you have a responsibility and a burden to lift that away from them. So like let's say if I take on a client, like if my parents, God bless their hearts, if they were to ever operate a system like this, they would struggle. I know that, right? So for them, what I would do is build this thing out to that 70, 80%, or even 90% mark where it's like, I don't want to say stupid free, but it's like so elementary for them, right? It's so elementary that it was negligent for them to not use it the right way. That was the only thing and the only reason that they weren't successful. So certain industries, I think it was um, Mr. Goodrich that asked about saturated versus unsaturated. For the unsaturated industry, it's going to be easier to break through with sales and prospecting, but your lift on fulfillment is going to be higher on what you pre-built for them. It's too advanced for them. So you're going to have to pre-build like 80 to 90% mark of the system, and they come in and just use it. They, like you
Mhm.
said, Francis, oh, like they should be able to build out their own email. I say no, a pre-built email should already be there for them, right? Like you have to get to a point where they have literally nothing else to do but come into the opportunities card and just slide those things over to the right. That's about
Yeah.
the only thing that they should be doing,
So
right?
if they want something like a new pipeline stage, for example, that might be done through a support request. Please,
Why,
could you
whoa, whoa,
take
whoa, whoa. Why would they need that? Because you've already pre-built that in the first round.
Yeah, I guess yes, to 75%, yes. But I guess, like you said earlier, that even though you're in a similar industry, some businesses are different. Like in our case, for example, we have what we're doing is we're integrating our high level with third-party job management software via Zapier. So one guy has this job management tool, the other guy has this one, other guy has a call handling center. And so actually we're finding that we have to go in there, do custom zaps and set up pipelines in everybody has a different pipeline. I mean, it's the same pipeline 75%, but then one person has them qualifying, another person has one step before. So there is that custom service that we
Yeah,
provide.
I recommend you. That's a slippery slope. right? That 20% that you're catering to is a slippery slope. It's going to turn into, oh man, I spend 4 hours consulting for this client, right?
Yeah,
That's
I do.
that's
I do.
that's so you gotta be careful there in what you're pre-building and pre-building the right way. If you're
Right. We
having
want to
to
get
custom, yeah, exactly. You do want to get away from it as much as you can, but it's not easy to do that. You have to have enough. This is why SaaS I recommend is the beta launch right now. You guys go run your beta launches based on what those industry experts are telling you. Decide on what exactly you should do. Don't base it on one plumber. Have the 10 plumbers in one place and let them hash it out of what they want. Position yourself as a technology guy once they're in, right?
Mhm.
Well, this business owner is saying this, but the other one is not. What's really needed for the industry then, guys? Like, so that's why you want to launch a beta and make sure you're pre-building something not just based on your own instinct, but feedback from the crowd, right? It's the same thing we do. We ask all of you guys that are agency owners, what should we build? How many of us are still talking about PandaDoc? We talked about PandaDoc for 6 months. For what? Like, where did that even go? Like, like it's one of those things that you got to get accurate data, accurate feedback from your crowd. Until then, you may be just dealing with the first round of bad apples of plumbers. I don't know, Francis, but it's you got to make sure if that is relevant, then you do have to build it accordingly, right? And if it's not buildable, then I say switch niches and go into something that makes it easier, right? So that's where I stand on that. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, that does help. Thank you very much.
Awesome, man.
Yes, sir. Um,
I'm gonna stay on for another 5-10 minutes, guys. And if you have any questions, just raise your hand and I'll get to you. Okay. Go ahead, Graham.
I had a couple quick questions about the customization of the new SaaS features and basically how that's going to work with the plans going forward. So right now, kind of initially, because we're new and currently building out our feature set and how we're going to package this and kind of doing exactly what you're saying, building out our beta for different niches. And our initial concern was how we were going to limit that feature set with the admin permissions, essentially. And it sounds like the SaaS mode is going to give us the ability to customize that. And I was just hoping you could give us a little bit more insight on how that's going to work. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've seen it already. So I can give you relevant information to a certain extent. I know what's being mapped out and I know what's being built out. So in the SaaS mode, your current core plans, right? What plan are you on, Graham? You're on 297, 497. What?
Right now, 297, but we will be upgrading to 497.
Okay, so the 297. Let's say you're on the 297 plan, and you want to roll out SaaS, right? So when you basically right size your account for SaaS, it's going to ask you to pre-build your SaaS plans, right? The system is going to ask you, hey, Brandon, what are your normal plans that you want to offer your SaaS customers? If you're on the 297, it's going to come with essentially total of, I think, 2 or 3 options. It's like minimalist, a little bit more, and it'll just have more features however you want. Now, you can drag and drop the different features across these plans if you want to, and that's for the 297, right? And you can put your numbers in there of like, hey, this is what I want to charge my clients, this is how, so you're building your own plans. Now if you're on the high level pro subscription, you're going to be able to customize your own plan combinations, right? The
Perfect. Okay.
297 is going to come with pre-built
Gotcha.
SaaS plans your high level team is going to recommend to you, right? It's going to come with pre-built that's ready to go. You can get a lot done with those. I don't think you have to have the customizable, but the
Yeah.
customizable will allow you to basically take the lid off and say, hey, I want to give them everything or whatever, excuse me, whatever you want, right? but that's going to be only available on if you're a high level pro. That's why I think you guys should already all roll into the high level pro, because you're going to be able to know and understand what are the new features, the progress on them. We have a private Facebook group for that already, and we're not going to talk a whole lot about SaaS in the regular community until everything is kind of rolled out, outside of probably myself and Chase talking about it, so you guys are a
Yeah.
bit more prepped. But that's why we have the private group, right? So I recommend you upgrading as early as you can, and essentially the SaaS plans will give you the ability to pre-build your plans, right? And same thing with
Perfect.
Twilio. Our Twilio rebilling, it's going to be based on like percentages, right? So like we'll have like two or three different options where, let's say you want to have a 20% margin on your Twilio fees, you'll be able to toggle on 20% or go down to 15% or go up to 25% of whatever the usage is. On top of that, at the location level, you'll be able to have a credit system. So like that's like the first three things that we're hoping to launch in January. It's the agency dashboard, which gives you SaaS data of your SaaS clients. It's different than SaaS dashboard that your clients will see. Okay, this is your
Right.
agency dashboard, and that's first one. Second one is a Twilio rebilling, and the third that I'm pretty sure we're going to roll out is going to be the location basis credit system, which is like, hey Graham, you've got a customer and he wants to pay you $100 for whatever usage that he wants to have on file, um, within that sub account, right? And he can keep it, refill it however he needs to. But right now, if you were to do that, you've got to do your own independent billing. You've got to
Yep.
send out invoices. You got to send out everything. Here, you're able to just lock in your credit cards and be like, okay, this is for rebilling, this is not for rebilling, and that keeps it pretty agile. And then
Perfect.
obviously we'll have the visual builders and all of that as we progress. But right now, in the immediate front, you, like Graham was doing, you guys should all kind of start beating the drums on the beta group that you're putting together for yourself, right? For your industry, mapping out your features. And I've shared some of the copywriting and prospecting scripts earlier today on this presentation. So that when you watch the replay or on the help desk, there will be scripts there as well. But hopefully that helps, Graham.
I do, and I have one other tie-in to that. It was less important in the immediate, but it's also kind of relevant to what somebody else was saying, and that was in terms of charging per seat when we get to the larger businesses. Is that in the works in terms of something that you all are going to offer as an option on the pro level, being able to offer as a per
Yeah,
seat option?
from what I know, so in the software world, we call it licenses, like so you can sell a license, right?
Yeah.
Or user seat, right? Um, but yeah, we'll have, I don't know what it looks like in the immediate front, but I
Sure.
know long term that's a default, option that has to be there. So you'll be able to say, okay, I'm going to allow this many users for that client, this many users for that client. This is what they're being billed. Yeah, you'll be able to do that.
Perfect. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys are seeing the value of, hey guys, stop being a standard ad agency. Come over here, be a software company like we are. Hopefully you guys are understanding the power and value of that and why. So this conversation was good. Anybody else have any questions? I know Scott, you had jumped in late, and Patrick, you had jumped in. If you guys have any questions, let's chat it through. Scott, go ahead, buddy. I don't hear you, man, unless it's me. Anybody else hear him?
No.
Why don't we come back to you, Scott, as soon as that's ready? Patrick, you have any questions, man?
No, I just, well, first of all, I am a high pro. So I can't wait. So I am trying to position SaaS as my main service. And I'm going to pivot everything else, obviously, stack them on top. Yeah, I didn't get notice on this emails. How often do we do this live like this? How often do you go live? I never get your notification.
So typically, so if you go to gohighlevel.com/events, all of our scheduled events are there, right? So the ones Chase does, the ones I do, the ones Sean's do, the one Robbins does, like, I mean, all of our events are there. So go highlevel.com/events. You'll be able to see the Zoom links, the dates. So typically for me personally, Mondays and Thursdays, I usually do a session like this. It's usually around marketplace or sales. Typically on Thursdays, I talk a bit more about sales, and it's usually just a Q&A around, excuse me, marketplace. Okay. Scott, is your microphone ready?
It should be. Can you hear me?
Okay. Awesome.
Excellent.
So we're good to go. Patrick, any follow-up to that, or you're good?
My only question is, I'm looking for a referral to VAs. I want to be able to outsource. I have not done it in the past. Any recommendation on that? Do you know people that really are familiar with high level?
Thousands. There are thousands of VAs that'll jump on high level. I promise you. So this is interesting because we're thinking about creating a job board, which is going to be a separate thing where if you need a VA or somebody, we'll be able to just jump in and just hire somebody based on what their expertise are, right? So that'll make it easier. But if you just post in the Facebook group, within the first 30 minutes, I promise you, you'll have 50 VAs reaching out to you. Okay.
Wonderful.
So I don't know if anybody else have hired a VA, but there's also VA agencies that strictly just focus on staffing high-level VAs themselves for other agencies. So there's plenty of resources that can help you there.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Paul.
Yeah. The hard thing is to make sure you give them the right tasks and they're doing the right things. It's the SOPs and everything else. It's not hard to find somebody. It's hard to operate them the right way. Okay. Scott, let's go with you, buddy. Thanks for the patience.
Yeah, thanks, Paulson. I appreciate your patience. So I have an opportunity that it has to go. I mean, it's this huge organization that will be using it technically, just as a CRM. One of the things that they're going to need, though, is from the top level, from the client level, they're going to need to be able to go into hundreds, if not thousands, of these sales reps accounts and scrub them for do not call. And so I'm just wondering, is the system going to be capable of doing
that? Have you ever done an agency jumpstart?
I have not yet. I was planning on doing it, but I didn't know if that's
well, I don't know if that'll solve your problem, but I'm just curious if you've already done that and they didn't have.
Well, I've got my system built out. I've got people using it. The beta test is basically done. We've been doing it for a while. I signed up with GHL Tools and GroupSend Gateway so that I could do the SaaS already. It's already all ready to go.
Awesome. Yeah.
A whole nother ball of wax. I mean, I'm going to have to probably switch now eventually off of those and onto this, but the most important question is, I mean, I just basically pitched it to the top person who is going to go to this group. It's an organization of 4,000 people, of which at least half of them would use the system if I get it going, and they would pay anywhere between $99 a seat per user up to $150 per user. So this is this huge, incredible opportunity that I've got that will go right down the toilet if I can't get away for the and I would pay a programmer to come in and build it for me.
In your scenario, what you want to do is get on a call with one of our developers or our consulting team and have an open conversation. We do consulting calls where we're like, hey, if you're trying to migrate 2,000 people into our ecosystem, we need to chat first and make sure you're put in a place of success. So I recommend getting on a call with Abby or Robin and then map something out and then start with the migration process. There could be some small minor changes that we may have to develop for you or built for you. And we call that the enterprise packaging. So in that category, I would say you fall under the enterprise packaging. So we would have to figure out what that is.
Okay. Yeah. I briefly talked with Michael about that.
Hernandez. Yeah. What did he say?
He said basically go ahead and run a beta test on it to see that the system is working, and the people who are using the system have just absolutely crushed it using it.
Okay.
And so we're there to the point. But then, so I guess it would be, one of those two, Abby or somebody that I talk with, to find out if this is a possibility to develop that portion. Because here's the deal: if the answer to that one question is no, this whole deal goes away. I mean, it's done, because this company, because of the size of the organization and the number of phone calls and text messages they send out, they get
And
sued all the time.
it's not as simple as if somebody responded with like a negative intent, you can create like a trigger against it.
Oh, we can, and we've done that, so that if they just send the word stop, or if any of those keywords are in there, we trigger it to just D&D, right? But what they want to do is they get a list on a daily basis. They send out a spreadsheet of 300 to 400 new people every day that put themselves on the do not call list or respond D&D. And so if somebody's using a different CRM or something like that, they keep this list, and then they use currently 2 CRMs, and so they go into both of those CRMs and they pull those leads out of there. And so they're going to want to do that if they're going to replace, because they're looking at replacing both of those with this, with high level. And if they're going to do that, they have to have this capability. And if that's happened, it's a company sponsored thing where, like this whole group, at least 2,000 people will sign up.
Yeah, in the scenarios like this, what we would typically do is enterprise engagement, where if there are development hours that needs to go behind it, then we'll figure out like an offer and a package and tell you, for us to develop this is the cost, this is what we would profit from it, this is the timeline, this is what you can expect after it's done, and then we'll have, I don't know, NDAs and all that, and it's a different conversation when you set up something like that for that many people at once. So yeah, I'll say in this scenario, get back on Michael's calendar and have him jump on a call with either Varun or Robin and figure out what's the technical lift on that. I won't be the right person to give you an answer right here, but they would have to pretty much um, look at your scenario basis and see if it makes sense for us to tackle that for you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
It could be a simple thing. It could be a very complex thing. I don't know. That's I guess we're at the mercy of the technology side.
Yeah.
Okay. But
right.
guys, I appreciate you jumping on and staying on. Love all of you. I know a lot of you guys gave us great feedback on the 10 days and 10K workshop we did. A lot of great feedback on so many different things. And as we roll out SaaS mode, guys, I would recommend upgrading to your 497. We're going to be putting out a lot of content in that private group. We haven't yet, but we're getting ready to roll a lot more things out in there. We're about 10-15 days away from rolling out a few new things for SaaS. So I'm excited for it. Keep in touch and have a good rest of your afternoon. Okay.